Okay, everyone, Tuesday morning, and yes, it's not very often that I'm wearing the jersey of a team that Celtic are playing on the day that Celtic actually play them. This isn't going to become a common thing, I can promise you. But I just kind of thought earlier on, yeah, I do have that in the wardrobe. And it's a cracker. It also has the greatest beverage ever. But yeah, just if you're wondering, I'm not supporting Cork City tonight or anything like that. Yes, that's tonight's game, and we're going to discuss that a little bit. Actually, later on, I'll be chatting to someone from the Cork #1 Celtic Supporters Club, and that may be why I'm wearing this, just to suck up to him. But yeah, we have a number of other things to discuss today. Such an immensely packed show, loads of transfer stuff. I'm going to stop waffling on this intro so we can get on to the main stuff. Right, where to begin with all this transfer stuff? Let's start with Nicholas Kuhn, who's looking about as happy as we've seen him in 6 months. Jetting off to Italy to sign for Como with his agent Fabian Dingler, who has probably been dreaming of this day for about a year. I'm not bitter at all. Actually, I mean, we've discussed Nicholas Kuhn. I think he's a good player for Celtic. I think we're getting really good money for him, to be honest. We just need to reinvest that. I would expect that deal to go through in the next 48 hours or so we can get that over and done with. In terms of incomings, let's tackle this. So Belgian outlet Voetbalkrant, apparently, they're reporting that Yamada Balikwisha is close to a transfer to Celtic. So this is translated, but they do say we've been in talks for some time and are now pushing through a deal. Antwerp would like to conclude quickly, also because Balikwisha has entered the final year of his contract and this is their last time to get any sort of money for him. Reading between the lines, seems very much like Antwerp are keen to get this deal done so they can get some money in and they can kickstart their own summer transfer business. I am always a little bit wary with these articles, especially when they're in another language, whether like this is something being reported or whether it's just opinion. So the writer of this article is a journalist called Johan Valkers, and I looked him up a bit, and he's, worked for a number of years. He's got a number of exclusive stories in the past. It's always trying to work out whether he's actually reporting that he's heard that a deal is close, like from a club source or a source close to Balikwisha, or if it's just him kind of saying something that he's heard elsewhere, if that makes sense. If he's kind of just putting it out there because he thinks, other folk are reporting it, and it's more just opinion rather than something he's actually heard. I don't know if you follow exactly what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's kind of hard to know for sure. Maybe I'll reach out to Johan and find out for myself exactly what's happening there. So, I won't spend any more time on Balikwisha. It's one to keep an eye on at the very least. Striker stuff. We're going to spend a fair bit of time now chatting about strikers because there's a lot happening. Yesterday we had Anthony Joseph from Sky Sports in conjunction with a Sky Sport Italy reporter called Luca Bendoni. They're saying that we've made an inquiry for Napoli striker Giuseppe Ambrosino. It's understood we are exploring the conditions of a loan deal with an option to buy for the Italy under-21 international. Ambrosino, who's 21, is said to be keen on a move to Celtic. So he's a young forward who's had a number of loan spells away from Napoli. Clearly no disgrace not getting a game for Napoli. They're one of the best teams in Europe, Italian champions. Last season he was on loan in Serie B, so the second division in Italy, with Frosinone, where he managed 5 goals and 4 assists across 36 matches. Worked out at a goal every 444 minutes. Which I must say isn't a particularly great scoring record for a striker. However, he has just been at UEFA under-21 Euros with Italy, played in all 4 of their matches. I think he only started one of them, so he's not like a starter technically for Italy's under-21s. However, he did come on for all of the games. So he started one off the bench for the other 3 and actually scored in their knockout loss to Germany. And I was really pleased with myself because I didn't just stop at seeing he'd scored. I actually thought, let's just look up this goal. And I was pretty amazed because it's like a 30-yard free kick he scores for Italy in the 96th minute to make it 2-2 and take the game to extra time. So he scored a 96th minute free kick to keep his country in the tournament at that stage. That's something worth talking about. So, yeah, Ambrosino has something clearly about him. Italy under-21s. He's at Napoli for a reason, you would suggest. But yeah, I can't get away from that poor goal-scoring record last season, just 5 goals in Serie B. So, yeah, I'm a little bit conflicted with this one. The talk is, as I say, that could be a loan move with an option to buy. Now, as I say, there's a lot of striker stuff here. So where you've got this Ambrosino stuff going on, there's also continued chat that Kawasaki Frontale striker Shin Yamada, who we heard about a number of weeks ago, is going to move to us. So the Scottish Sun say that a £1.5 million deal for Yamada has moved closer. They say that a deal could be completed as early as this week. And I feel like from our, I was going to say limited examples of signing players from Japan, it's fairly extensive now, the amount of players who've signed. There doesn't ever tend to be too much difficulty in getting these deals done. Like when Celtic identify a player, it's basically a case of offering some money. I'm just as I'm explaining how transfers work, but we offer money to a Japanese team, and quite a lot of the time, it's not much money. Clearly, Japan is like offers amazing value for money for a club like Celtic. But yeah, it doesn't ever seem like there's any real hitches, any issues with signing these players. So when you hear stuff, given that we heard a couple of weeks ago about Yamada, and you're now hearing a follow-up from the Scottish Sun saying that the deal has moved closer, could be completed as early as this week, you kind of feel like this is one that's going to happen. But is he our big Kyogo replacement? Or are we still in for Ambrosino as well? Well, it seems from the reporting that both could be coming in. So immediately I'm now thinking, are we seeing a bit of a kind of repeat of what we've seen at centre-back? We obviously signed Inamura, and straight away it's basically been said by Brendan Rodgers that Inamura is not one for right now. He's one for the future. He could go out on loan. And you're wondering, are we seeing something similar with Yamada here? Are we going to bring him in and view him very much as one for the future? But he could become very good. Because if we do sign Ambrosino and Yamada, that would take us up to 5 strikers on our books at the moment, alongside Adam Ida, Callum Osmond and Johnny Kenny. There's really only room for 3, so 2 would have to leave the club on loan. So again, and I know I'm not nearly the first person to bring this up, but it does feel like we're just maybe starting to see a new Celtic transfer plan here, and it seems like the club are almost doing 2 different things. They're balancing improving the first team, which admittedly possibly only 2 signings were made so far. Tierney and Nygren really improved the first team, but compared to last year when we didn't sign a player till mid-July, even that regard is improving. But we're also seeing what I would call some educated punts for the future. So you're talking Osmond, Inamura, Yamada, guys who aren't costing very much and appear to have real potential, but clearly aren't coming into the club to start right away. Now, I heard some people talking about Ambrosino and potentially looking at him being another one of these educated punts. He's not played a lot of football. He's pretty young. For me, signing a guy from Napoli who plays for Italy's under-21s, that would be a striker for me that would come in and would be viewed as a player to play in our first team right now. So maybe we end up with Ambrosino and Adam Ida vying for that number 1 spot. We have Callum Osmond around 2 in that, possibly that 3rd slot. Although I keep thinking Osmond might just surprise everyone a little bit. And then you end up with Yamada and Kenny going out on loan. that's just kind of how I'm seeing it at the moment. I know there's a lot to be sorted out here. I mean, Ambrosino and Yamada aren't even Celtic players. We don't know what's happening with Oswin. We don't know what's happening with Kenny. Adam Ida's kind of the only solid one at the moment, but I'm just looking at this situation and it's certainly very interesting. Should say there were some comments from Brendan Rodgers yesterday actually on Johnny Kenny and some stuff about contracts. Brendan Rodgers saying he wants Kenny to sign a new contract. Seems very much like we're going to take a look at Kenny over pre-season. And he might surprise us. He's certainly at the very least going to be given an opportunity in pre-season to take that next step. But I just see Kenny going out on loan this season. But I think it's also important to note Brendan Rodgers talking about Johnny Kenny. It seems like it would be a loan with the idea of Kenny getting regular football, doing well and coming back to be a Celtic first team player. It doesn't seem like the club are like saying Kenny's not good enough. It seems like they're maybe saying Kenny's not good enough at this stage, but he still can be a Celtic first team striker. So again, just thinking out loud, I'm wondering if the club are almost kind of hedging their bets here a little bit, and you're going to end up with Osmond, Yamada, Ambrosino and Kenny, and to a lesser extent Adam Ida, all at the club. And kind of if one or two of those guys take off and become stars, which you would say out of 4 or 5, there's a fair chance one of them does, then, you know, mission accomplished type thing. Maybe they're just bringing in a number of players and hoping that one or two of them really take off. Right, I'm wary this is going to be a very long video, so if it's up a little bit later, this is why, because I talk so much. I made this graphic earlier for those of you listening on the podcast, and by the way, podcast numbers are going up big time, so thanks if you've discovered the podcast. I'll try and explain this to you for you to listen to as well. So this is the usual Celtic squad depth chart. I have included the new arrivals. I've taken out the likes of Lagerbielke and Kuhn, who are technically still Celtic players, but will be leaving the club this week. I've also taken out like Stephen Welsh, Lewis Palma, Marco Tilio, Yuku Kwon. Pretty sure none of those guys are in the manager's plans for this season. That may be harsh, but it just simplifies things a bit here. And yeah, I think it shows that there's still a fair bit of work to be done here. The wings and forward options, I would say, are pretty bare. Jota's out for the foreseeable. Nicholas Kuhn will be away. Obviously hasn't been replaced at this stage. Kyogo is away, has been for a while, hasn't been replaced. So when you take those 3 guys, 3 quality players, Kyogo, Kuhn and Jota out of things, I know Jota will be back, but just at the moment, I do think we look pretty bare up top, and I would certainly argue you're needing to sign a right winger, a left winger and a striker. I'm guessing a lot of you would agree with that. So that's, and you're talking first team ready players there. So a lot of work, I think, to be done. The club have done good work so far, but I think there's a lot more work to be done. Midfield, I think, is relatively fine. Now, I know people might want another player in. For me, it's not like an absolute priority. I think there's more pressing issues. If Rio Hatate leaves, then or anyone else, then clearly we need to sign someone. I would like another centre-back as well. I think Brendan Rodgers wants that too. We're linked with Justin De Haas yesterday. And a left-back, obviously, as well, to go alongside Kieran Tierney. So, what's that, like 5 or 6 players still to come in, and a lot of them really improving the first team. So, yeah, it's going to be absolutely hectic. I think there's a lot of upheaval at the club, and the squad's going to have a real fresh feel to it this season, which I guess is not a massive surprise given what Brendan Rodgers touched on at the end of the campaign. But yeah, that's the situation there. We'll revisit the squad depth chart as the summer goes on. Another thing I just wanted to mention, you may have caught this yesterday. You may certainly have caught that Mathias Kvistgaarden, reported long-term Celtic transfer target, is going to find a new club. He's leaving Brøndby. Rather interestingly, surprisingly, he's moving to Norwich City, which is interesting given some of the big names that were linked with Kvistgaarden over the past 12, 18 months. And the chat here, and this is a really interesting bit, is that Norwich City will pay an initial fee of £6.9 million, plus add-ons, including a sell-on clause. And straight away you're thinking, God, they were talking 13, 14, 15 million for Kvistgaarden. And the feeling was that's maybe why Celtic have moved on, because we're not going to pay that amount. But here's Norwich getting him for effectively £7 million. So what's happened here? Well, as reported by Sky's Anthony Joseph, Norwich discovered a release clause in Kvistgaarden's contract that no other club knew about. Joseph says it's quite the coup and quite the embarrassment for the other clubs who have been negotiating with Brøndby. Now, I don't want to cast aspersions about the Celtic board. Maybe we knew about that minimum fee release clause and we just decided to go off a guy who scored 23 goals in 38 games for Brøndby next season. But if we didn't know about the release clause and Norwich did, and therefore they're getting Kvistgaarden for a pretty low fee given what he's done, that would be a pretty bad look for Celtic. Right, just before we get our guest on, Ian O'Sullivan from the Cork No. 1 Celtic Supporters Club. Today's show has been created in affiliation with NordVPN. A VPN is a virtual private network, everyone. It secures your connection, giving you protection online. A VPN can also make your phone or laptop appear like it's in another country. It's pretty cool and allows you basically to trick your internet into thinking you're somewhere else, meaning you can watch content as if you were in another country. It works with sports and it works with streaming your favourite TV programmes. If your version of Netflix doesn't have a particular show, then why not get the VPN up, go to another country, and they might well have it on Netflix or various other streaming sites. So yeah, haven't sold it to you yet. Good stuff. You can get a mega discount at the moment. Believe it's 72% and an Amazon gift card. Just go to nordvpn.com/CelticAM for an amazing NordVPN deal, and the link is also at the top of the description. So ahead of tonight's game, we wanted to catch up with someone from the Cork No. 1 Celtic Supporters Club to find out how they're feeling about Celtic coming to town. Now, Ian O'Sullivan is from there. He's been good enough to chat to me. And Ian, you're just telling me you've been incredibly busy with different interviews, even other Celtic fan media, radio stuff. It's been a hectic period for you and the CSC, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely, Hamish. It's all systems go here in this part of the world. It's always a big deal when Celtic come to town, you know. Like, I know firsthand that fans from Ireland get up at all hours to catch buses, trains, automobiles, you name it, to get over to Celtic Park. So to have the option of a lie-in tomorrow morning, if it suited us, is going to be nice. Do you know what I mean? So it's we can't wait. It's going to be a great occasion, not just for us, but for the city as a whole. Because to be quite honest with you, Hamish, these kind of events, like it's Cork and Dublin obviously being the capital city, right? It's very different to Edinburgh and Glasgow in comparison. Do you know, like when you have big games and you have concerts now and stuff like that, like us as Corkonians, we're starved of these kind of things to Dublin because like they're just so much bigger than us and stuff like that in terms of capacity and things. So no, we're going to remember tomorrow for definite.
I think it's a good point you make, because listen, I'm obviously, people who know I'm over in Australia and been watching games at the CSC here, and I guess it's a bit different in terms of, obviously a lot of people from your CSC will actually go to Celtic games. Here, they're unlikely to do that given the distance and all that. But the thing that is the same, I think, when you go away from Glasgow and Scotland is like the effort people put in to watch Celtic, whether it's getting up at all hours in this part of the world or the States or Asia or whatever to watch games, or in your case, like getting up at all hours to actually go to games. Like you do, I think, appreciate when you go to CSCs around the world, that as much as they're different, the one kind of consistent thing is the effort people put in. So having a game in Cork, as you say, I think people are really going to appreciate it.
Yeah, big time. It's not to be taken for granted at all. And yeah, like even the last few days now, I be looking after the kind of social media things there with the Cork No, and you have guys like I even have friends from Belgium, Switzerland, Germany who are all Celtic fans, and they're all making the trip, and not just even people that I know, but we're getting messages from the likes of Czech Republic and Romania and all these places. You wouldn't think there's Celtic fans there at all, but lo and behold, there actually is, So no, I'm looking forward to seeing all the old faces and meeting a few new friends as well along the way. Like, so look, what can I say? It's going to be unreal. It's going to be a great boost for the local economy, and it's going to be a great opportunity as well, Hamish, for people who wouldn't be as fortunate enough to get over to Celtic Park. Like, come here, it's an expensive hobby. Let's not beat around the bush either. But for the less fortunate, for kids who get the chance to get up close and see their heroes, in the flesh, and it's going to inspire the next generation of Celtic supporters for sure. And even just before recording there, there's pictures that I've seen. You have all the true Celtic players down in JD Sports in Cork here now in the last couple of hours, and it's just flooded with kids. It's just what you want to see. It's heartwarming stuff, really, more than anything else.
Yeah, it's important, isn't it, that Celtic keep going to Ireland. I think this is the third season in a row. Because we played in Dublin a couple of years ago, Sligo last year for
That's
a
right,
mid-season friendly, and Cork now. So maybe a bit of a more obvious effort from the club to do that, which I think is important, as you say, to keep Celtic
and
support
it's not just
in Ireland.
You're right. You're right. They've certainly upped their efforts since, I think, I'd say since the pandemic, really. I think they're having a game every season over here, which is important. But even look at the foundation, the Celtic Foundation last week. They've been this has been only last week they had their Celts by the Sea is what they're calling it. It's down in Ballycotton in East Cork. It's on the sea, so there's a cliff walk involved and things like that. That's their third year coming over here, and it's always been a success. It's getting everyone involved, and it's keeping it fresh. It's keeping the Celtic thing fresh down around these parts, which is you don't have there is Celtic fans, but we're dwarfed when it comes to comparing us to Liverpool fans and Man United fans and all the rest of it. So yeah, and even on top of that, then I believe Celtic are after giving a local charity here in Cork €10,000, which is it's a huge sum of money for anyone. Feed Cork is the name of the charity. They do first work in the city here, and it's a time when it's most desperately needed, when the times we're living in and things like that. So, no, that was a lovely touch from the club. No, to be fair to them, you have to tip the hat to them there on that one, like.
Yeah, that's positive stuff. In terms of the game itself, so it's Parky Kiev we're playing at.
Yeah, well done on the pronunciation.
Thank you. So I think months ago when the fixture was announced, someone helped me out in the comments. So that's the home of Cork GAA. Quite
Correct,
a large stadium, should be a good crowd. Do you know how many fans we're expecting for the game?
I think they're talking about 30,000 anyway. I would imagine. Wow. That's what I've seen. It's not sold out because I know there is tickets available still. To be honest, look, a Tuesday afternoon at 6:00 isn't ideal for most of all for people travelling. But you fellas trying to get time off work and all that. Maybe if it was a Saturday, you probably would have sold this out. Maybe that's me not being presumptuous, but. I'd say, look, still going to be a huge crowd for a friendly match after all, which is all it is. Like, it's a challenge game or whatever you want to call it.
The
No, it's
Cork
going to
Super
be.
Cup you're talking about here. Come on, this is a major.
Well,
A ma-
that's true too. That's true too. And it's the inaugural Cork Super
yeah.
Cup too, which is look. Hopefully it goes down well, and there'll be plenty more games down the park down throughout the years. And it's a historic game as well, Hamish, because obviously it's a GA stadium, and this game tomorrow is going to be just the fourth game ever to be played, a soccer game to be played down there. You know, you had the after the tragic passing of Liam Miller in what year was it? 2018, I think. You had Celtic, a Celtic in Ireland 11 playing Manchester United, Legends team in a friendly game, and all the proceeds went towards Liam Miller's family and stuff. So it was a lovely touch. You know, that was the very first game to be played, and since then we had two Irish women's international games held down there as well, which is it's a new chapter really in which is a very historic stadium, to be honest, Hamish. It's first memories down there with on the GA front, but the soccer I have to call it soccer to avoid confusion, really, you
And the
know.
same
But
here. Same here in Australia. It's a disgrace.
yeah, yeah, of course, but no, it's going to be like the stadium was rebuilt in 2016, 2017, around that kind of period, and the Cork GA CEO Kevin O'Donovan, he kind of hinted at it there in a few interviews there, you know, in the last couple of weeks. He wants the stadium to be turned into a municipal stadium where you can have all sorts of different sports, and he hinted that it's Irish taxpayers' money is what was put into the construction of the stadium. You have to get people into it, and he wants to make, you know, there's rugby games down there as well and things, and he just wants to get bodies into it as much as every opportunity.
Good. Just finally before we go, Adamida, obviously from Cork, doing it for Celtic at the moment. What are you making of that story so far?
Yeah, Adam, come here. It's not every day you see a Cork man in the Celtic colours. He's we're all delighted with him. You know, like he looks like a guy. I think undoubtedly he looks like a guy short in confidence. I would say that, but when you strip it back, like for a guy that doesn't start every game, Hamish, 20 goals isn't a bad return either. You know, he can certainly improve, but they can all improve. But he definitely, you know, I'd be very encouraged at the same time when what I have seen from him, because when he does hit form, and when he does have that bit of steel in the belly, and when he is confident, there's no doubt he has the minstrels. You know, like what about his the Aston Villa game was absolutely. You know, I was gobsmacked by what he was able to put on that day. You know, against what was top class opposition, like undoubtedly.
Yeah.
So hopefully he will.
Yeah, it's fine. I think he goes through, you know, good runs of form, and then he'll go through a number of games where he scores no goals. So hopefully this season's a big one. I don't know if we're going to see him in tonight's game, but I guess we'll find it. Listen, enjoy yourself, Ian. I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you and the CSC and everyone else going has a great night.
Thanks very much, Hamish. And you're not catching a last minute flight here. I'd say if you left now, you might make the second half.
Are you paying for my flight? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, no hassle. Yeah. I'll just hang on to the receipt for me.
As Ian did mention, tonight's game is a 6 p.m. kickoff. Not quite got to the bottom of why that's the case, but it just is. So, if you're watching the game, going to the game, please bear in mind it's a 6 p.m. kickoff. The match is live on Celtic TV, I think for anyone around the world, even in the UK and Ireland. It's also been shown by Premier Sports 1, on Premier Sports 1 tonight. So if you have Premier Sports, you'll be able to watch it there. So keep that in mind as well. We are looking at a similar squad to Friday night's game against Queen's Park. Might be a couple of wee changes. I feel like Callum Osmond will be involved tonight. We might get a first look at him. So that should be pretty good. And yeah, good crowd, 30,000 tickets sold. Parky Kiev. It's going to be a fun one, I think. So enjoy it if you're going, enjoy it wherever you're watching. I will be back tomorrow morning. I think Scott's going to be back, so he's going to make his debut for the season, and we'll discuss all the major talking points. Really appreciate you all watching, and yeah, keep supporting the channel.